Welcome everyone to the 14th of hopefully many Degenesis lore drop videos. This time we are looking into Gerome Getrell, co-founder of the Recombination Group and arguably the single most important character in the world of the Degenesis metaplot. Before we start, I need to tell you something. A couple of weeks ago I saw this very successful video about YouTube plagiarism and it made me think about what I'm doing here. These videos are for DMs and people interested in Degenesis, and they are basically a small promotional campaign for a game that I kind of love. But still, I feel the need to tell you that I do take bits and pieces and sometimes entire paragraphs from the original books without clearly indicating what I wrote and what not. Since I'm not making any money with this, as you know, I am paid with praise in the forms of likes, subs, and comments. I don't feel like a plagiarizing bastard, but still I felt the need to make this clear. So if you like what you're seeing and hearing in these lore drop videos, do go to Degenesis.com and take a look at the original material. The writing is great, and besides the artworks, the design, and the metaplot, it is one of the reasons why Degenesis is so special. Alright, lots of love and a happy new year to all of you. Special thanks to the new subscribers, and now I'll hope you enjoy this video. In the years before the Eschaton, the Recombination Group had become the leading company in the medicinal market. The two people that are named as the company's co-founders are Norman Thorne and the charismatic streamcast guru Gerome Getrell, who accumulated millions of followers with his streamed lectures about his philosophy of excess. In his role as a streamcast guru, Gerome Getrell began a rivalry with another spiritual leader named Jehammet. While Jehammet preached about a giant merging of the three Abrahamic religions and thus attempted to counter the cultural changes of the transhuman era with reactionary views and a focus on time-tested traditions, Gerome Getrell took another route and taught his followers the ways of his tarot. He talked of archetypes, of free love and sadism, nationalism and anarchy, democracy and dictatorship, about a life on the fast lane, and subversion. His streamcasts made the data paths glow, illuminating the deepest recesses of the human soul. One feed alone generated thousands of interpretations, most of which were founded on Getrell's paradoxes. Everyone felt they were onto something, a feeling of insight. Getrell's wisdom promised freedom in an over-regulated world to those who were able to decipher the feeds and see the truth between the contradictions. Shortly before the Eschaton, Gerome Getrell disappeared. Yet his speeches kept proliferating across the stream, before the stream itself was destroyed by the 2 to the power of 16 virus. As it turns out, Getrell's ambitions as a leader of the masses were nothing but a prelude to his major plan, or rather, his 2 major plans, that came to fruition after the Eschaton. The 2 projects of the Recombination Group for the post-Eschaton world have been covered extensively in my 2 videos about Project Tannhäuser and Project Free Spirit, and I do advise you to check them out if you're looking for deep dives into these topics. For this video, a summary will suffice. With Project Tannhäuser, the Recombination Group tried to implement their own transhuman super soldiers as leaders of post-Eschaton Europe. For this purpose, high-ranking members of the Recombination Group were put into cryogenic sleep to be reawakened in a 100-year rhythm in so-called cascades to rebuild civilization and mount the ranks of leadership. These people, the so-called sleepers, had been made superior to the average human being and provided with mimetic powers of manipulation to make sure that they could reign over the battered populations after the apocalypse. Tannhäuser's end goal was submission and a reign of violence and manipulation, a Machiavellian nightmare of total control with the Recombination Group and its former board members as supreme leaders. But the project was sabotaged by its very architect. Gerome Getrell betrayed the other RG board members, together with Nikita Karmanov, by manipulating the nanite blood that was supposed to make them immortal, and doomed them to hunt down the other agents of Project Tannhäuser in order to extract their blood and thus prolong their lives. This betrayal was connected to Getrell's second plan, known as Project Free Spirit. Together with Nikita Karmanov, Getrell constructed the Grindworks Labyrinth, a facility with the purpose of removing the mimetic brainwashing of Project Tannhäuser and the power to bring human beings to greater unity. A squad of 7 free spirit sleepers was created in order to make sure that Tannhäuser would meet an opposition that could serve its killing blow. Free spirit was the antithesis to Tannhäuser, another option for a battered humanity, an object of cooperation, equality, and unity in opposition to the violent rule of the agents of Project Tannhäuser. At least, that was what it was supposed to be. Like Tannhäuser, free spirit succumbed to the realities of the post-Eschaton world, and the opposition that Tannhäuser and the former RG board members, the Marauders, could still muster up. These forces did their best to set back the project to a point where its intended success was nothing but a vague delusion. Getrell's former lover, the woman known as Y, played a major role in stopping Project Free Spirit by enslaving the warlord Kultrin, whose campaign was about to spread all over Borka. To reach his goal of socially engineering mankind according to his vision, Getrell not only betrayed the people closest to him, but also made sure that knowledge about human history was destroyed before the Eschaton. For this purpose, he ordered Salim Mushar to create the 2 to the power of 16 virus that destroyed the stream and also infected the Paladin defense system that was supposed to shoot down the asteroids heading towards Earth. He also played a major part in the creation of the HIV-E, or hive virus, that caused a pandemic with horrible consequences and distracted the public so that the impending threat of the asteroids could not be dealt with adequately. We also know that Jahamet, Getrell's former rival, became a member of the RG board. Getrell was probably fascinated by Jahamet's demagogic talent and thus recruited him. Jahamet killed himself to escape the cruel fate of the other RG board members. If you want to learn more about him, check out my video on Arius. The two projects, Tannhäuser and Free Spirit, can be viewed as representations of Getrell's deeply held belief that humanity was to be given a choice after the Eschaton. The pre-programmed struggle between the two ideologies that led to the disaster of the city wars also aligns with the beliefs of the Recombination Group co-founder that are summarized in the speech we find at the end of the second Justitian book Moloch, which goes like this.
The cosmos is empty. Endlessly we listen to the void, and the only rationale we could reap from it is that the human race exists to fill said void, to settle the stars, to explore the universe beyond our current understanding. We have survived tremendous hardship. Multiple times we have faced extinction. For hundreds of thousands of years we have turned our gaze toward the great unknown. Every time the end was upon us, when meteors rained from the sky, when floods drowned and ice ages gripped us, we left megalithic signs behind for future generations to witness what we had previously uncovered. The stars are our destiny. Extinction makes us clever. We rise from the ashes and rebuild. We've probably done so 100 times over throughout the history of the human race. What is 1,000 years of strife against millions of years of prosperity? What is the one-time death of billions in comparison to trillions of future lives? Sacrifice is but a temporary thing. It happens in an instant, and it creates the soil for something new. Fortitude is not acquired through order and stability. It's born and bred in chaos and fear. These cyclic events of utter annihilation are the driving motor of our innermost workings. The universal clock our entire existence is attuned to. We only overcome the worst by experiencing it firsthand. Comfort is the death knell to all of our progress. It amplifies our most terrible vices. For a century or longer now, we've been sinking deeper into a spiral of decay. Our singular pursuit of happiness has pushed us away from what the greatest goal of mankind should be: unity. Without challenge, we grow weak. Ultimately, we end up as inbreds and imbeciles. Misery alone forces us to overcome yesterday's grief, molding us to become better at carrying the burden of life, which leaves only one conclusion. The universe chose us to explore it, define it, and map it. The universe, in its all-encompassing vastness and glory, in all its limitless potential, lacks the most fundamental of things: the ability to reflect upon itself. That is our purpose.
What we learn about Getrell in this short speech is his strong belief in the existential emptiness of the universe. Only humanity can be able to fill the void it is confronted with, give meaning to the blank cosmos. Tremendous hardship and threats of extinction have been overcome in past millennia, and every time human beings left traces of their accomplishments behind for future generations to decipher. A clear goal to all these challenges is proclaimed by Getrell. Humanity is supposed to conquer the stars. Challenges and threats are what force humanity beyond its potential, what force it to grow beyond of what was yesterday. Comfort makes it slow and complacent. Only misery has the power to motivate us to surpass ourselves and to bring us to serve our purpose of defining, exploring, and mapping the universe. The speech's paragraphs show different philosophical influences. From French anarchist thinker Élisée Reclus's idea about nature bringing itself to consciousness through human beings, to Nietzsche's last man, paralyzed by comfort and complacency, in opposition to the Übermensch, who is born out of struggle. The speech also betrays that Getrell identifies himself with the entire human race. He speaks for them, and it is him to decide that the death of billions is justified to prevent the assumed death of trillions at a later point in time. But Getrell is no savior in this story. When asked for the elevator pitch for Degenesis, its author Marko Đurđević said that it is the story of God returning to the Garden of Eden to see how humanity has ruined it. And when I first heard this pitch, I was confused. What about the cool monsters and the cults and all? But the figure of Getrell does play the role of a god, who has orchestrated a bizarre plan and is waiting to make his grand return to see what humanity has made out of his garden. It is pretty safe to assume that in the days before the Eschaton, Getrell has sent himself to the Minerva space station, where he was put into a 1,000-year-long cryogenic sleep. After a millennium, he wanted to return to Earth to see how the struggle between Tannhäuser and Free Spirit played out, how the traces he had left behind, like his tarot and the strange architecture all over Borca, had been perceived by his children, to cast his final judgment on humanity. In many ways, the metaplot of Degenesis is a consequence of Getrell's grotesque plan to find out if humanity is worth to serve the purpose Getrell has assigned to it. I could end the video here, but I want to leave you with one more thought. These videos that I'm making are helpful for a lot of people, myself included, because I do forget a lot of stuff. But I also feel that the struggle of researching information about the metaplot, making sense of and connecting hidden bits and pieces is a perfect representation of Getrell's idea of growing through struggle that can be found in so many places of the Degenesis books. And looking at the ridiculous inaccessibility of the metaplot from this perspective shows another layer of genius in the design of Degenesis, bringing together form and content in an impressive way. So if you don't struggle too much with reading, do go to Degenesis.com, get yourself some books, play some Degenesis, and shape your own beautiful version of it. Or else Daddy Getrell will be pretty pissed when he comes home. Alright everyone, thank you for watching this video, and I have to give a huge shout out to the man with the most epic voice in the whole Degenesis community. It's Mr. Unpossible, who was the perfect Gerome Getrell, in my opinion. Do tell me what you think, or what you thought about his performance. I loved it. He has a YouTube channel called Setting First, which you can find a link to in the description. I hope you enjoyed the video. It was shorter, and we have already voted on the next one, which will be about the primer and Homo Degenesis, and this is gonna be a long video. It will come out probably in February, we'll see, but I will give it my best. Yeah, and now I hope you all have a great one. See ya.